Sat in, welcome.
You alright?
Yeah. You good?
Yeah, good, thank you. So where are we off to today?
Alright, we're off to a place just outside of Bracknell, sunny little village, and we're going to go and interview a very fast runner, a good friend of mine, and a special guest for the show today. I'm very excited to get her on the show. I'll give you a clue. Her marathon personal best is 2 hours and 23.
Her.
There you go, 2 clues in 1. Let's go. Let's go. What's going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of Trackster. We are in a little village just outside of Bracknell, and we've got a very special guest today, and we've just arrived at their house, and we're going to get a cup of tea, sit down on the couch and have a chat. Hiya.
Hello.
Got time for a chat?
Yep.
Come on.
There you
Right, compare a yeah,
Literally as I started.
You know what I mean? What time did they come around at random times? Did they let you know?
They don't let you know, no. They came round at, it was my lion day yesterday. I said to Adam, I'm having a lion, don't wake me up. And then at like 7:10, Adam's like standing over me like, Charlie, the drug testers. And I was like, no.
I love that you have a lion day.
Yeah, Thursday was my lion day. And yeah.
What time's lion till?
I was only going to sleep till 8.
Oh, yeah.
So it wasn't that long, but yeah, they came at 7. So it wasn't too bad. They've come earlier before.
How long are they here?
Depends how long it takes to pee.
Oh, yeah. Alright, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for your support so far, for all that we're doing at Trackster. I've got a very exciting episode this week, and I'm sitting in the lovely home, by the way. The lovely house of Charlotte Purdue. Where are we right now? What area? Would you call it Bracknell?
Yeah, like in between Bracknell and Ascot.
It's like
Like in between.
Brascott.
Brascott, yeah.
But no, very lovely house. Thank you for having me. I've already had the guided tour from Clarkey, and I've seen all of the good and bad bits. But what I really want to call out on the camera are these coasters.
Lovely.
I'm not going to show the logo because of who I work for.
Oh,
but
I can show the logo.
Yeah, you can show the logo. But these coasters are. Did Clarkey make these?
Yeah, he made them.
That's what we'll say. But no, thanks for having us in your home, Charlotte. Obviously, really appreciate it, and I'm really excited to talk to you today because me and you, we go way back. Me, you, Clarkey, we've been knowing each other for a fair few years now. Obviously, I know you as a friend, but I also know you as an athlete as well, and there's so much that you've achieved over the years that we can talk about. But it's just nice to just have a catch up.
Yeah.
Over a cuppa.
Yeah, sorry we couldn't go for lunch.
No, it's all right. It was
a bit of a rush.
No, it's all good. Yeah, you were telling me off camera. Tell me for the viewers and the listeners, what is it you've done so far? What you've been up to today?
Yeah, today just tempo this morning in the park, Bushy Park. Then drove back. Well, I actually had physio up there as well, straight after the session. So I literally did session straight to physio and then drove back. So that's why I didn't have time for lunch. So,
standard day in the life.
Yeah, exactly. Day in the life, and then just another run later. Go to the gym. That's it.
That's it. That's the elite lifestyle.
Yeah.
And what is new with you, Charlotte? Because for fans of the sport, if you like, obviously last time out we saw you in Eugene, Oregon, which didn't work out.
No.
And then prior to that, Boston, which did go really well.
Yeah.
But with London, that's just been.
Yeah.
Obviously, I would normally expect you to be there.
Yeah.
On the start line as the leading Brit. But what's new with you? Where are you at with your running at the moment?
Yeah. So obviously, when I came back from Australia, I told you. Remember, we did a session. Well, you were warming. I was doing a session, my first one back.
Well, I was more racing it. I was trying to keep up. I was dying on your tempo. But I do. I remember the one. Clarkey did it with us.
Yeah. And Josh was there, and I told you that I probably wasn't going to run London.
Yeah, I remember.
And you were like, "Why?" And I said, "Well, I just missed a big block of training. I just had inconsistent training.
Yeah.
Was what I would call it, just on and off in Australia. I just didn't feel ready to go into London and put a performance in that I would have wanted to put in.
Yeah.
I could have gone there and run round, but that's not what I want to do.
No, fair enough.
So I just decided to pull out, and so since then I've just been building back up to normal training. I would say. Yeah. So pretty good now. Just last 10 days ago I had like a virus. I don't know what it was. Like, it wasn't COVID, but I thought it was again.
Yeah.
But yeah, that wiped me out a bit, so I just had to easy run for a week. But yeah,
getting back into things.
Yeah, again, I just feel like, one thing after another.
Yeah,
I was like,
I
I had like the injuries at the start of the year, like niggles on and off, and then got sick just as I was getting back into shape again. But like today went well, so
Good.
I'm not unfit. I just got to get a good block of training now before I can race.
You've been around the block.
Exactly. I just feel like,
You know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And so I don't know whether you've discussed this with your coach yet, but what is the next goal? Do you have a race or?
Yeah, so not a specific race yet. He just wants me to get fit basically, and then we'll find a race. But basically, the plan's going to be do little races in the summer, and then I'll do an autumn marathon.
Not worlds?
No, not worlds. I can't qualify.
Oh, okay.
Because I haven't run within the selection
time.
time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, to be honest, I kind of want to like run a good fast one.
Yeah.
Well, I just need to run the qualifying time basically.
Okay.
For the Olympics to put myself in a chance of
Yeah.
getting selected, and then whether I run another one later in the year again depends on how fast I run in the first one.
And when you look at, and we'll chat about marathons later in the chat, but when you're looking at like finding a race, and you say, I want to find an autumn race, do you look? How do you find a race? Because normal people, when they find a race, they look at the entry fee and how easy it is to get there, and if it's a quick course. But do you just look at course, or is it location, conditions? Like, what do you look for?
Yeah, a bit of both. Course, what time of year it is.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, I want to do a lead-in with some races before. I don't just want to go straight into a marathon. So, what races are before the race? And then, obviously, one if the race wants you in the race.
Yeah.
And then, obviously...
Why wouldn't they?
Well, I don't know. If they, like, if I was going after money, for example, which one would pay the most? But obviously, this year I'm not going after money.
Fair.
I'm going after, like, a good time, and I want to just run well. So, it kind of takes that out of the equation. But that comes into it. Obviously, you've got to earn a living as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Also, what the quality of the race is, how far you have to travel, that kind of thing. Because not ideal, like, travelling across the world to do a marathon.
Yeah,
if you don't
fair
have to.
enough.
If there's one like down the road which is decent.
Yeah, i.e. London.
Yeah,
fair
best
enough.
one.
Yeah, well, I had that chat with Brett Robinson 2 weeks ago, just before London, and we were chatting about the implications of finding the right race and the right marathon, i.e. prize money and where you can place in the race and how that lines up with your contract and things like that. And they're all things that are part and parcel of your elite lifestyle that I suppose you have to consider compared to a non-elite. But I want to go right back to the start. That's where we start all of our episodes. Where did sport start for you, and how did that transition into athletics as you know it?
Yeah, so started at school. I was like 11. I went to secondary school, and my friends entered me into a cross-country race when I was... I can't remember how it came about, but I basically just came back one day and they were like, you're doing the school cross-country.
Cheers.
And I was like, oh, great. So I did it. It was just against my year group. And it was like top 6 went to represent the school.
Okay.
I think I came like 5th. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm representing the school. Went to this school race, and my first coach, Mick, was there at the school race watching some runners that he coached. And one of the runners that he coached was from my school. At the end, he was talking to her and he was like, oh, how did you do? And I kind of told him, I think I was like 32nd out of like 45.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like amazing. But he was like, I watched you look like you could be a good runner. Why didn't you come to training? And I was like, okay. So I went with my friend who was at my school, went to training, and just liked it. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to go again. And then I started going like 3 times a week to the Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday sessions.
Yeah.
And then and then after that I like did some races like the little Hampshire Leagues.
This is so I love how wholesome this is.
I know. So did the Hampshire Leagues, and then I wasn't like winning the Hampshire Leagues at all. I was like honestly not great. And
just
then,
getting basted.
Yeah, Aldershot road relays, I think the first team that I was in was like the E team. So like
amazing.
Honestly bad. But then I just worked my way through, and I think it was the school races where I started seeing more improvement first. I think I did the district 600 metres and I won the district 600. And
now look at you.
Yeah, I know, I can't believe it. 600 metres. Okay, terrible. I did districts, and then worked my way up, did English schools, and then I think it was under 15 I won the English schools, the national cross, and inter-counties. Like I did the triple.
You did the 3P?
Yeah.
Did they give you like a little ring or anything like that? No, they gave you a badge.
I think the only annoying thing of that was after I won English schools, which was the last one, you went to represent England in the cross country and I got beat. It was like my first time, well, not my first time getting beat, but my first time that season getting beat, and I was really annoyed about that. I came second.
Was it another English athlete? Or?
No, Irish. I can't remember who it was.
I think I know. Really? I feel like when I was researching before this...
Do you know?
Because I didn't have to do much research for this, honestly, but...
I can look on my power of 10.
I feel like her last name was Murray.
Really? I don't know.
Is Finola Murray stick out?
Honestly,
is that a name?
I can't remember. But
right, we're going to fact check this, because I think it's Finola Murray, and that might not even be an athlete. But I feel like I saw...
He's making up.
No, I feel like I saw that name.
They're two really Irish names.
Yeah, I know.
Finola and Murray.
But I feel like...
Put them together.
But I feel like I saw that name on your Wikipedia.
Really?
And I feel like that would have been significant for a reason.
Okay, well, I don't remember, but I just remember being pissed that I got beat because all season I'd won everything and I thought, everything was going really well. And I can't remember, but I got beat in this cross country. But yeah, it's still pretty good year.
So, that's where I can already sense that even those early years, going from getting beaten in amateur leagues to I hate losing. And that competitive nature is already instilled in you.
Yeah, I was annoyed.
And I've met hundreds of athletes over the years, and you are very competitive. You hate losing. I feel like I'm telling you this, but you already know. You already know. But that is great because I like that attitude where it's. You said already on this chat about I'm not racing for money. Like I'm racing to run fast.
Yeah.
And money is a subject that can really be a taboo in running, but especially in road running because there's more money there.
Yeah. And
that can sometimes pull you left, right and centre. But one thing I've always noticed from you, especially when we talk about marathons, is that you don't go there to just make up the numbers.
Yeah.
You could have done on the marathon and earned loads of money doing it and paid bills, but ultimately you want to go somewhere fit and run well, which I think really speaks a lot about your character. But we're getting really too deep now. We're getting all too lovey-dovey. I want to just touch on our AFD. You mentioned Aldershot Farming District, the legendary Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday sessions. We spoke to Jack Rowe recently on the pod, and he obviously is the same club. We've all got friends that have run for the club. I've been to the sessions myself. Take me back to the time where, let's say, you're under 17.
Yeah. I
feel that when you was an under 17, like 16 years old, that was when AFD, especially on the women's side, was absolutely insane. Like one of the best groups in Europe.
Yeah.
What was it like being in that environment where you've got like literally multiple GB athletes, some of them are sponsored, maybe alongside yourself as well, like a pro group at 15, 16 years old? What's that like?
Yeah, looking back it was like intense to see now, but at the time like it was just fun. Like honestly, we weren't really, like we didn't really think about it. It was like obviously my training partners were winning World Juniors. Like Steph won World Juniors when I was training with her. Emma Pallant was like third in the World Juniors.
Was Emily Pigeon still around then?
She was not training with Mick, I don't think, at that time. That was a little bit later.
Okay.
But obviously, and then we went to the European Cross in 2008 and Great Britain finished 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Was that Portugal?
No, that was Brussels.
Right.
So Steph won, I was second.
Did you win in Portugal?
I won in Portugal, that was a year later.
Because that's on the cross-country course that we all know and love. And I've been back there since.
Same.
And I've been there, I went back on camp and it was all right.
Yeah.
And I remember finding out that, in fact, I went with Clarky and he was like, oh, this is where Charlotte won. And I was like, what? This? And I've been back since then. Such shit now.
I know. The grass was really good when I won.
I remember I watched it back. It's amazing.
Perfect grass.
It's like a golf course.
Yeah, it was terrible when I went back too. But
memories.
But yeah, that was good. 2008, Great Britain finished 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the European cross country, which is like crazy.
Which race? Under
20.
Under 20, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Women. And obviously from Aldershot we had I think like 4 of
that
6 that were getting coached by Mick. Yeah, I know.
Wow.
So that was impressive.
Yeah, that's incredible. I've heard the stories about the competitiveness of the club, and I've heard stories of some of the guys racing and training, but I can only imagine.
Well, I know now, like one of my training partners, Susan from Holland, she told me, obviously now that I train with her, that all the Dutch athletes in the team, they all thought we were like doping. Because we came like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're like, oh, that's.
Which you can kind of understand why they think that.
Yeah, true.
Because it's unheard of.
Yeah.
But put it into actual practice. Can you
Yeah.
actually imagine that?
Exactly. It's like she thought it was just crazy.
Imagine the scandal.
Yeah, I
That'd be
know.
front page news.
I'm like,
AFD
yeah, thanks for
doping
that.
scandal.
I know.
Brilliant, love it.
Definitely not.
So you mentioned there a couple of GB vests. You've competed for Great Britain through the juniors and the seniors across so many different disciplines, from the track, cross country, the road.
Yeah.
Is there one, and obviously we spoke about you winning European Juniors cross, is there one highlight where you've been wearing the GB kit that sticks out to you that you really remember really well? What's the highlight moment?
I think the highlight moment, winning the European cross was pretty good.
Yeah.
I remember before the race, I was like so nervous. Mick sat me down and he was like, "If you don't win, it will be a disappointment." And obviously,
No pressure, coach.
well, 2 years before I came third,
Okay.
and then the year before that, the year after that, I was second. And then I missed a year because I was injured, and it was my last year as a junior. And he sat me down and he was like, "This is your last year. You've come third. You've come second. You were injured last year. If you don't win, it's a disappointment." But the race was only 4.8k, and obviously I've always been I've always preferred the further distances.
Okay.
So I was more worried about the distance more than like I thought I could win, but it's more just like it's really short. And I remember like my mum came to Portugal to watch, and she couldn't watch because she was so nervous.
Bless her.
And we came out of the pen, and I was like dead last because everyone's sprinting. Yeah, and it was quite hard to get around people.
Yeah.
And I just remember like literally working so hard. And at the end, we looked at my splits of the course, and like my last lap split was faster than like all the senior women had
Brilliant.
run, and like faster than a couple of my training partners in the under 23 men as well.
Wow.
Because I literally just the first lap I was just like going for it, trying to get like catch up time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was like winning. I was just more relieved.
Yeah,
Like, oh
fair.
my god.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Put you on a pedestal.
That's what I mean. I was just like, oh fuck, because it would have
Bloody
been
hell.
a disappointment if I didn't win.
Yeah,
Because
fair.
obviously, like I just worked my way, and that season had gone so well. I thought, like, I've got to win this. So,
When I've asked, I spoke to Brett about this, and one thing that you and Brett do have in common is that you've been a professional athlete for bloody ages.
yeah,
Like you're 31, right?
yeah,
That's not old in any industry, but you've been a pro for bloody donkeys.
Yeah.
When was your first pro contract? How old were you then?
16.
16, which
Yeah.
like you're a kid. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
You're
I was
still
a kid.
You're still living at home.
My mum and dad had to sign my first Nike contract as well
Yeah.
because I was under 18, so
Brilliant.
it had to have like a counter signature,
Oh
which
my
is
God.
like crazy.
What's if you was to like compare, your contract now with Adidas, and you're now this really established athlete, to the contract back when you were 16 years old. Not the specifics, but like, did you feel as much pressure then as you maybe do now, or what headspace were you in when you're like, bloody hell, I just woke up and I'm a pro athlete?
I didn't think I was a pro athlete because I was still at school. I was still at college. So
Were you
like,
rocking your Nike kit in the playground?
yeah, all my friends would ask me to get them stuff and
Get us
like
discount.
shoes. Yeah, honestly, I didn't feel like I was a pro athlete. It was
Okay.
just like I was doing what I was doing, and that was extra on top. I was just not having to pay for my clothes anymore.
Mega.
It wasn't like about the money. I wasn't thinking about that. It was
Yeah.
cool to like have more money, but it wasn't like, I didn't think about it at all. I think the only time I thought of myself as a pro athlete was after I finished uni and I didn't have to get a job.
Yeah, that was
Because-
realisation.
Yeah, because up until then I was always going to go to university. There was never a thought in my head like, I'm not going to go to university. I always wanted to do that.
Mhm.
And obviously I went to St Mary's and I could get coached by Mick at the time.
Yeah.
And it was just the same because I was already at this is a funny thing as well, at school I was doing my GCSEs and I would get to take Wednesday afternoon off because I would go up to St Mary's and I would run in the altitude chamber, and then I'd do drills and S&C with the group up there, but I got to miss school, so I had to.
How?
I just got permission from the headmistress to
Did
like
you
miss
just
school.
walk in with your pro contract?
Well, she already knew like all of like what I was doing, like all the competitions and stuff, and they were like really supportive, obviously.
Yeah.
And I told them like, like Wednesday afternoon I need to do this run, like strength and conditioning. I saw a physio.
Yeah.
I was getting British Athletics funding at the time, so it was like a big deal. So I got to miss Wednesday off school.
Touch.
But like I was doing my GCSEs at the time as
Okay.
well. And I went on training camp to Kenya, like literally in the March before my GCSEs in May.
So you'd have been how old then? 16.
16, yeah.
So you've not only been pro in practical terms, you've been living that lifestyle for 15 years.
Yeah.
Wow,
It's a long time.
that's a long time. Does it? Do you ever find it boring? You bored of the lifestyle?
I'm not bored. No, I just get like frustrated when I get injuries, obviously. But that's
It's
just
your
the
job.
same to everyone. Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like it's just annoying because you think, being doing it for that long, like when you get an injury, you're like, oh, why is this happening? 'Cause
Yeah,
you think you
yeah.
put the things in place to stop it from happening, but it still happens. It's like no matter what you do, well, no matter what I do,
Part
I'm
of the
still
job,
gonna.
isn't it?
Yeah, but I kind of get frustrated still because I'm like, oh, if I get a niggle, I'm like, why am I getting this niggle? I'm doing the S&C that I've been told to do about like a million times.
Yeah, I totally
But
get
it
that.
doesn't make a difference. You're still going to get injured, so I just kind of have to accept it. It's just, when you put in all the time and think but that's part of the sport, I guess.
Have you, over the years of getting injuries throughout your juniors and seniors, etc., and have you improved on how you deal with it?
Yeah, I still get just as annoyed. But I think like I've pretty much had every single thing that could get thrown. I've had surgery, I've had bone breaks, I've had like tendon injuries, I've had everything. I've been sick.
Yeah.
I've got COVID before, like at a world champs. I've literally had everything.
You can't harm me.
Like literally nothing can happen now,
fair.
which I will not be A, surprised, or B, will put me off. Like I'm obviously just gonna crack on.
Yeah, just come back.
Yeah. So nothing more can go wrong.
Fair. Unless things touch wood.
Touch wood.
It doesn't. Well, you're not now, but you've been part of Melbourne Track Club for how many years would that be now? In fact, don't tell me. 2014.
2014, yeah. How do you
Let's
know?
go. Because I do my research, Charlotte. 2014.
I wouldn't have even known for sure. Like I feel like it was around 2014.
Yeah, so 2014 you left your club coach, moved over with Nick Bordeaux.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, Nick Bordeaux's, he now works for Athletics Australia, so he's a pretty big fish over there, but a legendary coach. He's coached athletes like Craig Mottram, Ryan Gregson, Collis Birmingham, Jen Gregson. We can go on and on and on.
Lots.
But you're one of the only, in fact I'm going to go, you're the only British athlete he coaches?
Now, yeah.
Yes, right, yeah, you're right.
He had a few before.
He did, yes, you're right. How did that come about?
Yeah, so in 2010 I went to Commonwealth Games in Delhi.
Mm-hmm. On the track?
On the track, yeah. 10 and 5k. Came, fourth in the 10k and sixth in the 5k.
Solid.
Yeah, the 10k was first. I remember standing on the start line of the 5k and doing like a little jump, and I was like, oh no.
Toes
My
didn't leave the
legs
ground.
were stuffed. Yeah, honestly, my legs were so stuffed. But yeah, that was fun. But in the race that I did was Eloise Wellings, who's an Australian runner who ran for Australia there, and we became friends. We were chatting, and I wanted to like change my coaching setup because I just felt like
There's a time.
stuff wasn't going right in the group, and I was just needed to change my coaching setup. And I'd obviously seen Nick and the group based in Teddington. Because they would come over every year, the group would run around the track. I was obviously at St Mary's.
Yeah.
I would see them there. Andy Vernon as well was also part of the group, and Julia Bleasdale, both British athletes that I knew well. So I was like, okay, I couldn't really think of like where I wanted to go. Did kind of think about going to America, but I couldn't go because I had been a professional athlete for so long.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, if you've earned prize money, you can't go on a scholarship.
Sorry,
America. Sorry,
Scholarship NCAA.
Yeah,
Right.
I thought because I was just finishing university. It was like my last year of university.
Oh, you could have done like a master's.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
I was thinking I could go over there for 2 years on like a scholarship, do a master's, and like run for a team over there, and then decide what I wanted to do. But I couldn't. I wasn't allowed to go.
And too much money.
I got too much money. So that wasn't an option. And then there wasn't really any British coaches that I really wanted to go with. So the only options were like a foreign coach. Saw Nick at the track, and I was like, I'm just going to email him. So I sent him an email, and I remember
Didn't have the cojones to talk to him. Was he scared?
I think he wasn't in the country at the time.
Oh,
It was around like February time.
Okay.
I actually had a stress fracture at the time that I emailed. And I was really nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to say no. He doesn't even know who I am. And he emailed back. I'd seen him at the Commonwealth Games as well, but obviously didn't speak to him. He was just there with Eloise in the courtroom. He emailed back saying that he would coach me. And he was coming over to the UK in like May time, so we met up, and then took it from there. Obviously, I was recovering from a stress fracture when he started coaching me.
Right.
I remember
easing into it.
He saw my training. He was like, "Send me your training that you've been doing for like the last 6 months." I sent him the training, and he was like, "What?" He was like, I can't believe you haven't had 50 stress fractures. Is exactly
I probably have, Nick, but I just don't know.
I was like, well, I've had 10. But yeah, so we obviously stripped everything back and like started real basic. It took me a while to get fit, I would say, because I just started doing a lot less than what I was doing before.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I ran my first half marathon at the Great North Run. I can't remember what year, maybe end of 2015. And I ran 71:40. That was my debut half. That was coached by Nick, and I'd say that was like my first good result.
And I suppose that really set the thing off in your brain that that's maybe where I'm suited, the roads.
Yeah, he told me, he was like, I don't think you're suited to be a like 10k runner. He said, I think you should move to the marathon sooner rather than later. Okay. And I was like, okay. Because I think like I would do the 10k training with the girls, like Eloise. She was obviously still doing 10k at the time. And I was just like, I couldn't really keep up on the faster stuff.
Hanging on.
I was always like really good on the thresholds, and he was like, why would we wait? Like, you might as well. Because I kept getting injured as well doing the faster sessions. So he was like, move up now.
So that half marathon in Great North, what year would that have been?
I think 2015.
The year later you did London?
Yeah, 2016.
2:32 debut?
Yeah.
Wow. And I looked at the photos of that race,
really?
and carbon weren't the thing in those days.
I know, no carbon shoes, I wore Lunar Racer.
Lunar Racers?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
I know, I remember like, 2:32 and yeah.
What a shoe though. I mean, wow. I mean, that shows...
They got me
It's not that long ago, but like so much has happened in the last 7 years, isn't it? From an innovation perspective, but the sport itself. Like I remember in those days, a sub 2:30 from a Brit was like, wow,
it was like a
bloody hell. Whereas now it's like, that's all right.
It doesn't even qualify you.
It's an alright debut.
Yeah,
you'd expect that.
It literally wouldn't qualify you for anything.
Yeah,
now. Whereas back then it was like you were one of the best in like Europe.
So there's not a lot you haven't achieved in your career. You've run very fast over various distances from the track. You've won cross country titles. You've run really fast in the marathon. You've been to World Championships, Commonwealth Games, home World Champs, and run very fast in major marathons. But there's one thing that's eluded you so far, and that's the Olympics.
Yep.
2012 London. I read about this, but what was your situation there? What were you training for then? Because obviously that was pre-marathon career.
Yeah, so 2012 London, I was training for the 10k on the track, and I went to Stanford in May, and I ran 32:03. And at the time they had an A standard and a B standard.
I remember this.
The A standard was 31:45,
right,
and the B standard was 32:10.
Yeah.
But the policy was if someone ran the A, then they could take obviously 3 people with the A. But if no one runs the A, they can take 1 person on the B instead. And in that race in Stanford, Julia Bleasdale ran the A standard, 31:45, or faster she ran than 31:45, and I ran 32:03 or whatever. So I had the B, she had the A. Joe Pavey also later on ran the A standard. So those two with the A, me in 3rd spot, but with the B didn't have the A. I did another like 3 10Ks and I didn't get it. And obviously, they can't take a combination of an A or B standard. They can only take either 3 A's or only 1 B but no A's. So they obviously took the 2 A's.
Isn't it?
Yeah, no B standard. So I was like, okay, I was 3rd fastest, but I couldn't go because I didn't have the time. I only had the B standard, didn't count. Joe Pavey actually told me, she was like, if Julia decides to run the 5k, and Joe had also qualified in the 5k, she said to me, I will pull out the 10k so that they select you on the B.
That's nice.
Yeah, I know.
That's so nice.
I couldn't believe her like telling me that. I was like, why would you do that? Like,
what a lady.
Just a nice person. Yeah. Obviously, I would never have expected her to do that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to only go on like merit anyway.
Yeah, totally.
But I still like appreciated that. But anyway, Julia still wanted to go for the 10k, which is obviously fair enough.
Yeah. Let her off.
Yeah, she ran really well as well.
Oh, okay.
So, and obviously Mick coached her, which is strange now because I was still coached by Mick at the time.
Of course you would have been, yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of weird. But yes, so I didn't go to the Olympics in 2012. Rio, again,
16.
Same kind of thing. So my first marathon, so the 2 girls had the time from Berlin the year before, Ali Dixon and Sonia Samuels, they ran the time in Berlin. So at London Marathon, which was the official trial, they just had to come top 3 and they were automatic. Yeah. It was obviously my debut, so I had to run under 2:31 and finish in the top 3 to get selected. We started off the race and obviously I thought that I would try and run 2:31 to try and get the time. But the way the race was, it was like tactical, whereas they didn't need to run a time.
No.
So they were just trying to get round, and it was slow. Like we went through halfway in, I think it was 1:15:30, so it was bang on 2:31. But then after that, it just got like tactical. There was no pacemaker, so I just sat in and finished third. But I ran 2:32, so I didn't get the time. So yeah, again, just missed out.
Very close there.
I was third fastest again, but literally just missed out. And I did appeal because I had the IAAF time, which was 2:35, I think.
Yeah.
So I said, no one else has got the time.
Do you appeal to British Athletics?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I said, I've got the World Athletics time, but they obviously had set their own standard, which was 2:31, and they were like, no, we're obviously sticking with our standard. We're not gonna. So they just took 2 people.
And in Rio, in them days, did they do things like wildcard entries? Because I remember like Reve Walcott-Nolan went to Tokyo.
Yeah, no, they didn't do that.
On points, that weren't a thing, no.
No wildcard
That's a bit
entry.
annoying.
Yeah, it was very annoying.
Okay, so then COVID and Olympics was in Tokyo 2020, but actually 2021.
Yeah.
Which is weird to think.
Yeah,
the,
weird.
2020 games is not in 2020. A bit of a sort of, what would I call it, saga, nightmare situation that ensued around your Tokyo selection. Obviously, because of COVID, we were so restricted with races.
Yeah.
The marathon trial that year was in Kew Gardens,
yeah.
Hosted by Tom Bedford. Great race, I was there myself, it was brilliant. Talk us through that point in your career. You didn't race the trial and subsequently didn't go to the Tokyo Olympics, but talk us through what happened there.
Yes, I had the time from London Marathon the year before, around 2:25:36.
Big PB, wasn't it?
Big PB, yeah. So I had the time for the Olympics. And I was in Australia training, came back. That was, the year before.
Yeah.
In 2020, I raced one half marathon in Marugami, got PB, 68:23.
Cheers.
But then didn't race the whole year because COVID.
Yeah.
And then I actually picked up a few niggles. Got injured in January time. Obviously I knew the trial was in March. Already had the time for the
Was you training for it?
Yeah, I was training for it. Yeah. And I told British Athletics, I've got this injury. I'm building back up. I could do the trials, but I don't think it's a great idea to come back straight from an injury with no races to run a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the time. What do you like? What's your advice? And they told me not to race.
Okay.
They basically advised, well, they didn't obviously tell me you can't race. They just advised me not to race.
Right.
And they said the selection meeting's next week. Can you come up to Loughborough to have a medical assessment? Went up to Loughborough, did a tempo on the treadmill. They saw me running, did everything.
Went alright, didn't it?
Yeah, it went alright.
Yeah.
And then I got a phone call a week later on the day of the selection. They were like, we haven't selected you because of your injuries. Right. And I was like, what? But I'm running. I ran 90 minutes today. And they basically said it was on medical grounds that they hadn't selected me. And they selected someone else who was a minute and a half slower than me.
Yeah, I remember, because that 2:25 was really quick at the time.
At the time, yeah.
Way minutes faster than anyone else had run.
Yeah.
Or thereabouts. But as a British Athletics funded athlete, you have to there's certain things you have to adhere by, i.e. submit. You tell me, but submit, i.e. how training's going. To basically, so they know if, for example, you haven't raced.
Yeah.
You have to be like, this is the shape I'm in, or
exactly.
things like that.
Yeah. So they obviously said because it's a trial and you're not going to race, you have to show what shape you're in. So Nick, my coach, sent an email with all the training that I'd done, and obviously Nick's the most honest person ever.
Yeah,
he literally told it like it was. And I went up to Loughborough to do a medical assessment, which I know for a fact because I was there that the other 2 that were selected also didn't run the trial, and they didn't obviously have a full medical assessment like I had. Obviously the girl that won the trial very much deserved to go.
Yeah.
She won, ran great, got the time, unreal. But it was more around the fact that the other 2 were selected who also didn't run the trial. I would understand if the 3 people that ran the trial, they selected top 3, they had the time, fair play, I missed the trial. But it was more the fact that we all missed the trial, and then they proceeded to select 2 other people that one was slower than me and still got selected.
The shit Olympics anyway.
It was just that's what everyone tells me, but it's still obviously.
I get it. No, I totally get it.
It was just a bit of a the situation was just not handled well. I'd say it was just not clear.
Out of your hands.
Yeah, it was not clear.
You done what you were told to do, and
exactly.
But looking back,
yeah,
hindsight, what would you do differently? Would you just race the trial?
I honestly don't know.
Depending on your injuries, I guess.
Yeah, I was running at the time. It was kind of like this year what happened with London Marathon. Like I was running at the time. I could have raced the trial, but I don't know how it would have gone.
Yeah, because
like would I have come? Well, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
and then
literally, and then that creates other problems.
But then I feel like if I'd gone to the trial and not run well and then not got selected, it would have been better because I would have felt like
closure.
I would have not deserved to go. Whereas it was more the fact they told me, like, don't do it. Like you're in a good spot. You know, you're second fastest on paper. Like you should be okay. That was So maybe I should have like gone to the trial and just done it and seen how it would have gone. Because if I'd have qualified outright, then it would have been a no-brainer. But whatever.
It is what it is.
Exactly. It turned out like good in the end. Like everything does happen for a reason. Because like that London Marathon was like really good.
You went and ran 2:23, a new personal best, another fast London.
Yeah.
And then you also went and ran Boston.
Yeah.
In 2022 in April and ran 2:25.
2:25, yeah.
On a hilly course.
Yeah.
I have watched obviously all your marathons as you've gone through, because not just that sounds really creepy. Just student of the sport, you know.
Yeah,
but 2:23 and 2:25 in London was great, but I feel that I remember saying on Twitter that the Boston was your best marathon. That was for me the best marathon because it's the course and
it was a hard course.
The way you ran and the top 10 finish in the world class marathon. It was a stacked field that year.
Yeah.
Since Boston, you've trained for Eugene, Oregon Marathon.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a second. But off the back of Boston, you must have been like, get me a fucking fast course right now.
Yeah, I was like pretty fit because obviously came off the 2:23 and didn't have any injuries, any issues. Got back into training really quick. And then, did Boston. It went really well. I actually paced Nagoya Marathon like a month before Boston. Started off at 2:20 pace and ran to 30k. And that
good
was
session then.
Yeah, good session. I actually felt really good after that. So I was like, I think I'm going to run well in Boston.
Yeah.
And then just the momentum, ran well there. And then after Boston, I actually got flu, which was annoying. It was like the start of the illnesses last year. So I wasn't able to run Vitality 10k, which I wanted to do. So I pulled out that and then got back into training again. And then, started training for World Champs in Oregon. So
what part of the year was World Champs? What
August.
Month? August and...
Or last week of July.
Okay. And, I watched it and Clarky was out there and I read updates on the course and it was weird. It was a weird race to watch. I remember watching it and the front pack, it went off so fast. I remember looking at it and was like, Charlotte is miles behind, yet you were still ahead of time.
Yeah.
It was, so talk us through what happened on that day.
Yeah, so, weird race. Training had gone well leading into it. I did a couple of 10Ks actually leading into it, but then I went to Flagstaff, did altitude training, went there. So flew straight from Flagstaff to Eugene, went there. Obviously, COVID was kind of ending, so there wasn't really any restrictions. So all the athletes were housed in the same block.
Yeah.
And the dining hall was just free for all. And I remember thinking I'm going to be lucky to leave here. I'd never had COVID before.
Right.
I was I'm going to be lucky to leave here without COVID. My housemate in Flagstaff got COVID the week that we left as well. Obviously I did a pre-flying test and it came back negative. So I think I swerved his COVID.
Yeah.
But then flew. And then anyway, started off the race and I just didn't feel good. From the off, I just felt terrible. I couldn't breathe. I was just something is seriously wrong. I got to 5k, took my first drink and I was maybe I'm just easing into this.
Yeah.
But I just remember thinking I don't think I'm going to make 10k.
Do you think it was the air quality or the humidity or conditions?
I think it was just the start of COVID. Yeah, honestly. Because then I got to 10k and I was okay, I'll try and make 15k. Got to 15k and Adam was on the side of the course and he was running alongside me.
Of course he was.
And he was what is wrong? And I was I can't breathe.
Alright, girl!
Literally, that's what he was running along. I just felt I couldn't breathe basically. I was just hyperventilating, just running terrible. So I said I was running along saying to Adam I don't want to drop out, but what should I do? And he was I can't tell you what to do, but
was calling it.
It was my call, and I didn't think I was going to make it, honestly. that's how I felt. Like, I didn't think I could make it. I kept telling myself I'm going to feel better at the next 5K, but I was like 15K in and feeling honestly terrible. So yeah, I dropped out, and then like 2 days later got a positive COVID test. So it kind of made it like not okay, but
felt a bit better. Again, a bit closure about it.
A little bit of closure, because I was like,
yeah.
thank God I know something's wrong with me, and I'm not just like
So tough day there in Eugene. You had a tough day in Doha. I was there, roadside with Adam. What an absolute shit show that race was.
Yeah, I wish I never went there.
It was. I remember me and Adam on the side of the course, and for anyone that didn't see the marathon, it was basically on a motorway, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was like a big loop. Went up to one roundabout, or one turn, and then up the other turn, and there was these massive floodlights, weren't there?
Yeah.
And it was the middle of the night, and
midnight.
Yeah, it was midnight, and I was wearing like swim shorts, flip flops, and a vest. And I actually said, I don't know if I can stay out here. It's
really?
So hot. And underneath one of the floodlights.
Oh, that was the worst. The floodlights made the course hotter.
Yeah, it was 40 degrees between floodlight,
yeah.
and I think it was 47 or 49 under the floodlights.
So hot.
And me and Adam just snuck off to a restaurant because it was to get a drink, and we were like, can we just sit in here, because it was the only place in aircon. But that race was carnage. Like, we were seeing some horrible sights, like people passing out on the course and stuff. And I know you had some troubles there. Was your stomach and the heat?
Just everything, yeah.
Shit show.
Again, yeah. I wish I never went and did that.
It's tough to block your year out for such a crap race to be a part of.
And it's tough to like turn down a world champs as well. When the option's like there to run the world champs, you obviously want to go and represent your country. But then in hindsight, I'm like, shouldn't have gone to Doha to run a marathon.
Yeah. And in
it's
fact,
like, if it wasn't world champs, like why?
Yeah.
If you even said to me, do you want to go to Doha to run a marathon? I'd be like, no.
For anyone that's never been to Dakar at that time of the year, I mean, I'll give you a quick... Yeah, maybe don't, but...
Remember we were going to walk? Our hotel was here, and
no,
like
we
800,
did walk.
Yeah, 800 metres away was a shopping
Hardest walk of my life.
And Adam was like, should we get... I said, should we get a taxi? Adam was like, it's 800 metres, we will walk. And like, hardest walk, yeah.
Hardest walk of my life.
800 metres.
Walked into the mall dripping.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put a photo on the screen now that will pop on there. That is me in the hotel lobby of your hotel at 3 a.m.
Oh yeah.
Don't know why I was up at that time, but I just remember just like...
That must have been after the race.
Yeah, it was after the race. You must have been... I don't know what you were doing.
I think I was getting my stuff.
Getting all your stuff, but that was a peak time. But it was actually a fun trip.
It was a fun trip, but don't want to run a marathon.
Yeah,
I didn't run a marathon.
I nearly died on a run.
Yeah, I remember.
Adam and me went for a run, and I think we went to do maybe an hour, and I stopped after 20 minutes, and I said I can't run anymore. It was too hot, and then Adam lost me, and we were separated for hours. It was a scary time.
It was.
Do
you remember that time as well? Adam got a taxi, and he didn't return to the hotel. You were texting me like,
9 hours to get across Doha.
Traffic.
Yeah, I know.
And you were like, "Where's Adam?" And I was like, "I don't know. Where is Adam?" And you were like, "He's not answering his phone." And
I was so scared. We thought, right, he's gone.
Yeah.
He's been bought.
Yeah.
He's been sold. He's been bought and sold in the time that this has transpired. Yeah, that trip was so funny. Me and him stayed in the same hotel room, and we paid for laundry. He was like, "Oi, there's a laundry service." I was like, "All right, sweet. Yeah, I've got some pants and socks." I gave him like 3 pairs of socks, a couple of t-shirts, and some pants. And he checked out before me, so I've gone down to reception on the way out, and they've gone, "Oh, sir, there's a bill for laundry." And I was like, "Tight fuckers, not paid it. £100.
I know.
£100 to iron my socks. Bastards."
I know. Yeah, that was a funny trip.
But what a time to be alive that was.
Yeah, not good to run a marathon in 38 degrees or whatever.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, at least you don't get that in London, and London is a race that's worked very well for you over the years.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you want to do an autumn marathon. You want a quick course, and now we've got other courses coming into the fray. We've got like Valencia in December, which is really quick, even like Seville, but in February is a fast course as well.
Yeah.
Berlin, obviously, that's a major that you haven't done.
Yeah.
But silly question, probably I don't really know the answer. But will you return to the streets of London to do a marathon one day again?
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Good. Okay. Excellent.
I always want to do London Marathon. Like, if I can fit it in and it like works, then I'll always try and do it, because I think it's the best one. Like, I love it.
Yeah, that's fair. We all do. Home marathon is an absolute banger. What I want to ask you actually is, because you are one athlete that's done majors and run well at majors and done world championship marathons as well, what are the differences, if any, of peaking for a world major compared to a world championship marathon compared to just a regular marathon? Are there any differences or any challenges you have to face? Any hoops you have to jump through? Or is
I
it
would
just pretty
say,
standard?
yeah, pretty standard. I do the same training if it's a world major or a championship marathon. The differences mainly have been the heat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, the world champs are usually in the summer. Well, always in the summer.
Yeah.
And wherever location it is, it's always hot. So I've done heat training or stuff like that.
Right.
And when it's a major, they're usually in the autumn or in spring where it's not as hot. So it depends on, say, Boston, I did more hill training. Whereas if I was running London, I wouldn't do hill training. I'd just do normal marathon training. So if I choose a course which is like got something in, which I think I need to train a little bit for, then I'll change it. But apart from that, no, same.
And in terms of your build up for a marathon now, you've done it enough times, so I'm sure you've got your process, like, you could probably reel it off day by day in your
Pretty
head.
much.
But do you have a specific time frame where it's like, right, that's my 16-week, 12-week block? Do you put a number on it, or is it dependent on where you're at that time?
Yeah, it depends where I'm at.
Okay.
And Nick changes it a little bit actually as well. So no marathon have I done exactly the same sessions.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's changed it up a lot.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so actually when I ran 223, I did the shortest build-up I've ever done. Only 8 weeks before did I start doing like marathon sessions because I'd had a few niggles that year. Nick wanted me to get to the start line not injured.
Yeah.
So he basically modified it so it was really scaled back and I ran the best.
Yeah.
Right. I actually felt so fresh. Like every session I was like running really well because I felt fresher. I was doing only one run a day, cross training in the afternoons.
Wow.
And yeah. So now we've kind of, now that I can do a bit more volume, well, for Boston, I kind of like did a mix of the two. Like not as much volume as I have done in the past, but also a bit more cross training.
Yeah,
So-
finding that hybrid setup that
But
works
I
best
think-
for you, I guess.
Yeah, every marathon's been different so far, which is good because it keeps it interesting.
Yes,
So,
for sure.
but always like looking to change, like what didn't work that time, what can work this time. So yeah, plus every time I felt a little bit different, like something, I don't know what it is, but always had something different going, so.
And next marathon, obviously an autumn that you want to do, you want to run a fast one. We're a long way out, but I'm sure that you're already, knowing you're already like thinking and planning and getting the brain ready and to prepare yourself to send it. What do you think you're capable of?
I think I can definitely run faster than 223 because a couple of things, like I said, in London, the build-up was 8 weeks and it was really scaled back.
Yeah, that is so short.
I know, if I look back now, honestly, like 8 weeks before, I was doing 10k threshold on a Friday and like 8 on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I hadn't even gone over 2 hours for like months. I was literally like really not marathon training at all. So that, and also the second half of that London marathon, like the last 12k I ran completely alone. So I think like if I did a mixed marathon,
you did remember that, yeah.
I feel like I could definitely run faster than 223. I can say that, but I don't know. I don't want to say like the time because I have literally no idea. Like I didn't actually think I was going to run 223 that year.
What was you aiming for when you went into that race? What was the time goal that day?
So initially when we first said I was going to do London, Nick just wanted me to run 227 and like get round.
What?
Yeah, this was like...
Oh yeah, of course, because short build up.
Yeah, well this was like in June time when I'd committed to run London.
Okay.
He was like, 227, just get round.
Does he know you at all?
Exactly. Well, he just wanted me to do one because it'd been obviously since 2019 that I hadn't run a marathon because I'd got niggles and then missed the Olympics. He just wanted me to have a good race, like show that I'm still like out there running. He was like 227 would be a good result, get round, and then we'll look for a faster one later in the year. But as the training progressed, I was like crushing these sessions, and he was like, "What kind of like what's going on?" And I was like, "I think I can run like 224." And he was like, "Yeah, I think you can run," but he was never like telling me, you know, you can run this time. And it was in the meeting the day before the race when I found out Ailish was pacing me, and she was like, "What time do you want to run through halfway?" And I was like, I want to run 71:30 through halfway. And Nick was like, no, you're not running 71:30 through halfway. It's like way too fast. He was like 71:50. And Ailish was like, okay, 71:50. And I was like, Ailish, 71:30.
Oh,
and Nick was like, yeah, if you go that fast, you'll just die in the second half. You'll be by yourself and you'll just die. And I was like, no, I feel really good. Anyway, so then we agreed on 71:45 through halfway. I went through halfway like 71:44.
Nice.
So pretty spot on from Ailish with the pacing. And then I had another pacer till like 28k. an African lady, and then she dropped out, and then I was like alone. And then I didn't look at my watch, and I just ran.
Yeah, chasing. I remember watching the tracking, and I was looking at the gaps.
Yeah.
I was chasing Clarky. I was like, oh, she's catching this one. She's catching.
I didn't catch anyone. I just ran like completely alone.
Yeah, that's
the whole
wicked.
time, but it was good. Yeah, I just felt good, and I just ran good.
Yeah, absolutely. You smashed it.
Like I just had a good day.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to the next one as well.
Thanks.
For sure. So we're gonna end with quick fire questions.
Yep.
We've got 5 in total. Don't think about it. Just
Okay.
give me the first thing that comes into your
Oh
mind.
no.
Who's the most famous person you phone list?
It's what?
Your most famous phone contact.
Oh, phone contacts. Kelly Holmes.
That's unreal.
Well, she used to like mentor me, like back
Okay.
in the. I was on camp with Kelly.
Oh, the old Cameron Kelly and
Yeah.
back in the day. Yeah,
back
that's
in the day.
wicked.
So yeah.
I thought you was going to say Mo Farah.
I don't have his number. Adam does.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you didn't say Mo Farah because we've had that already, and I was
Have
like,
you?
everyone's got his number around
Who's
here.
got his number?
Jack Rowe.
Oh.
He's like, Mo Farah.
Adam texted me yesterday and said, asked if he wanted to train this morning. But yeah, I don't have his number.
So Kelly Holmes, that's a good answer. I like that. If you had a magic wand, what's one thing you'd change in athletics, or just running as a whole?
Ooh, I don't know. I would say less drug cheats.
Yes, love that.
I mean,
Good
it's just
answer.
hard. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of, especially now, like every week, I feel like someone's getting.
Someone's getting popped every week, aren't they?
So yeah, just something needs to happen about that. It's annoying.
Fingers crossed something changes. What's the best thing about being a professional athlete?
I like traveling, so going to like fun places to train or to race, like it's fun.
And the worst thing?
Injuries.
Thought that was going to be it. And last question, Charlotte. What's a harsh truth that the running world needs to hear?
That running never gets easier. As in, like, a lot of, especially obviously because we coach athletes, a lot of people think that when you're a professional athlete, like every run is easy, and like it's not. Like even like going for a threshold run when you're fit, it's not easy because you're always trying to run faster, and like you have days where you feel terrible. But like
That's a good point.
I feel like general people who don't run very much or don't run, they think that we find it easy, and it's like it's not easy. Like it's
I asked Elliot Kipchoge that question. I said,
Did you?
I said, off camera, I said, do you ever feel shit on a run?
What did he say?
Like what a loser. Like, that was my question, and he just laughed and he went, all the time.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But I just I look at athletes like yourself and athletes on that level, and I'm like, do you ever feel shit? And obviously, yeah, they do,
Yeah.
which is welcoming to hear.
Yeah,
You know what
it's
I mean?
like, or people just in the gym, like you'll be running on the treadmill and they're like, oh, did you find that easy? I'm like, no, like no run is really, like there's rare days where, like I said, London Marathon, I felt good, but like still didn't feel easy.
Yeah.
Like it was hard the whole way, but
Love
yeah,
that.
so running is not easy.
Love that, and what a great way to end. Charlotte, it's been a pleasure. Thank you once again for having me in your home.
Thanks.
We'll do an MTV Cribs episode next time.
Yeah.
But best of luck for your preparations for your autumn marathon, and
Thanks.
I can't wait to be tracking you once again, messaging Clark on the roadside.
Thanks very much.
Smash it, good luck, Charlotte.
Thanks.